didn't work that time.
Okay. My presentation is over rain rot, or also known as rain scald in equine. I chose this topic because we are in the Midwest and we do get a lot of rainfall in the Midwest. I have equine, but I have not personally had a scenario where I've had a horse that had rain rot, but I do know some people that have had this happen to them and their horse. Rain rot is a bacterial infection of the skin that results in the formation of like matted scabs, usually on the back or occasionally around the lower legs, because if they stand in water too long, they can get it on their legs. The cause of this is from a bacteria called Dermatophilus con. I said it before, Clyde. I went over the
They can read it.
It's a bacteria that it lives and breeds in like wet, damp areas, and so if a horse is in prolonged wetting and the skin is cracking, which is normally happens in wet weather, this allows the bacteria to invade into the surfaces of the layers of skin, and then it establishes that infection, and then it just grows throughout the back of the horse. This can also occur if a horse has a weakened immunity or immune system, because they have a sick or cold, because they're animals, so they can get a cold, or so if their immunity is weakened, they're more prone to this condition. The cause continued. This is kind of more common terms, I guess you could say. If they're wearing a blanket that has a hole in it or something like that, and they're out in the rain, so that water leaks into the blanket and onto the horse's back, and that the areas that don't have a hole in the blanket are trapping that moisture into the horse's skin, and this causes the horse to get scabs, and as you can see here on the picture here, it has scabs on its back where they kind of start to bleed, and then also causes them to have hair loss and different kinds of bacteria and juices oozing out of the skin. So, how to treat this? You can give them a gentle bath using a equine safe shampoo that contains chloroxidine or providine iodine. You want to, like I said, you want to do it very gentle, because this condition does cause pain to an equine. It's just like a regular scab on your skin, I guess you could say. So, and after you give them a bath and they're dry, you want to try to remove as many scabs as possible without obviously causing major discomfort to the horse. So as much as they'll allow, try to take off as many scabs as possible to kind of open up that wound. That way you can put on an antibiotic powder, spray, or even an ointment that'll get rid of that bacteria that is in those opening and pores. You also by allowing the horse to stay in dry conditions and applying these antibiotics, this usually is a easy and fairly cheap way to maintain the situation and solve the problem. And if the horse does have to go outside for any reason, or if you do keep them outside, so you don't have a lean-to or something, you could keep them outside, and by putting Vaseline on the wounds, it kind of waterproofs the spot, so one could say. And there's some cases where it is kind of more of a serious matter, so using a systematic antibiotic treatment, which can be done by injection or orally. This could be because the horse has gone too far and the wound has spread massively. So, ways to prevent this is through it's fairly simple, by offering the horse a stall or lean-to, a dry place to get out of the elements, the weather, and providing them with a dry, fresh bedding every so many days. Clean it out, because they do go to the bathroom in there, so that's also going to provide moisture in the stall. So making sure you just give them a nice bedding, dry area, place to stay is probably the number one concern. And then if they are outside, like I said, if you don't have a place to put them in, then you can use a waterproof turnout blanket or winter blanket that's suitable for the horse, the right size. That doesn't leak, but also it allows the skin to breathe underneath the blanket, so they're not sweating or getting that moisture within in the blanket causing these sores to happen. And another good thing is to also periodically give your horse a bath using an equine safe shampoo and conditioner. This doesn't mean you have to do it every single day, but every so often you see your horse maybe getting dirty. It's good to give them a nice bath and kind of freshens them up, makes them feel good, and also keeps their skin clean and clear of bacteria. And also you want to make sure that they are dry afterwards before you turn them back out onto pasture or in a lot, because they can, if you turn them out wet, they may go out and roll and collect or mud, and then that'll also trap the moisture into the hairs and skin of the horse. So, and those are my sources.
Okay.